So the starting point for this is the fact that I was in my mid-40s and had never been camping in my life. And people who know me are always surprised when they hear this because I grew up on a farm. So they say, you spend all your summers outside, you're always doing backbreaking manual labor outside. And I think, yeah, that's why for a farmer, roughing it in the woods doesn't exactly sound relaxing. So the reason why this is relevant was because about 4.5 years ago, my girlfriend Vicky and I decided we were going to go to the Hillside Festival in Guelph and represent. Yeah. And we were going to camp there. And there was, with her 2 kids who were 6 and 9 at the time. And there was a bit of a narrative in our relationship where I brought nothing really useful to the table. I'm a pretty good ball player. I'm a good writer, good at my job. But, in terms of practical things, I can't fix things. If the dishwasher breaks down, knots. Tie knot. Different kinds of knots? What do you want from me? And so I was a little bit trepidatious about this trip because I would have to do things like help pitch a tent. And I had never done this. I had never even slept in a tent before. And so when you have one of these things in a relationship, those things, there's really a fine line between something that's a running joke and a festering sore that will eventually destroy the relationship. You're a little bit on edge. And I thought, okay, I'm going to totally blow this tent, and this festering sore will get all pussy and explode, and I'm going to be hitchhiking back to Toronto tonight. But somehow miraculously, we got to Guelph, and we found our campsite where we were stationed near some friends. And I don't know if you've ever been to Hillside, but the campsite is basically a grassy parking lot that's full of cars and campers and tents. And somehow we managed to get the tent up, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I looked like I really was trying hard and was really diligent and took instructions well and kept my panic to a minimum. And we get it up, and by this point I'm thinking, well, this weekend is an unqualified success. I'm ready to go home right there and then and not jinx anymore. But, we went to see some bands that night, had a good time. We came back and hung out with our friends, got the kids to bed, and went to bed around midnight. And then, of course, that's when everybody in the other campsites pulls out their guitars and their drums, and it's not going to end for a while. And then, how can I'm actually toying with doing the lamest possible thing to do at a music festival and go over to other campsites and say, can you keep it down a bit, please? But no, I elected to just lay there and seethe instead. And so this goes on until about 2:30 or 3. And eventually the drumming died down, and I drifted off to sleep. And then probably about an hour later, I feel this nudge, and Vicky's going, wake up. And this better be good. And she says, I think there's a bear. And I said, this is Guelph. It's not a bear. And I go to roll over, and she said, no, listen. So we're lying there in silence for a couple minutes, and I'm ready to say, okay, told you. Yeah, I don't know what you heard, but it's not a bear. And then I hear this, and I said, holy shit, it's a bear. And she said, I know it's a bear. That's what I told you. Yo, don't wake up the kids. And so we're kind of silent for a while. We're wondering, okay, what do we do? No words pass between us for a while. And I say, maybe it went away. And then we hear the like this. And I guess it's not going away. And she said, yeah, look out the tent. Look out the front of the tent. So I move ever so slowly, padding my way to the front of the tent. And I go up to the flap, and the zipper, I'm bringing it down one tooth at a time. Right? It's just this. And kind kind of thinking, if there's a bear out there, it's bored to death by now, waiting for me to open this. And I open it like, just enough that I can see through. And of course, it's total darkness, so I can't see a thing. And but it's quiet for a while, and I'm thinking, oh, I think it went away. And then all of a sudden again, always coming in threes. And so she said, what do we do? And it's on the tip of my tongue to say, you're really asking the wrong guy. But then what I actually say is, well, you know, we could stay in the tent and it'll eventually go away. Silence on her end. I said, or, you know, one of us could go out and see if we can find it and see what's going on. And she said, I think that's a good idea. And then there's a pause. And I said, and it strikes me, you know, in light of the sensitivities about my lack of usefulness, now's probably a wrong time to cower in the tent while my girlfriend goes out to confront a bear. So, very, very slow. I get my shoes on. I, again, just infinitesimally small progress down until I get the tent flap open enough to go out. And then I get out and I'm walking very slowly. I've never moved so slowly in all my life. You know, it was like reverse time-lapse photography. And there's silence for a while. It's just that eerie 4 a.m, pitch blackness, open air. Sound travels in a weird way. You can't tell if something's right beside you or 100 feet away. And then every once in a while, every 90 seconds or so, we just hear this. And this bear sounds really pissed off. And eventually, it occurs to me, we never actually talked about what we were trying to accomplish by me walking out there. And probably more to the point, if I did actually come face to face with an angry bear, what was I supposed to do? You know, I couldn't go running back into the tent because that would really defeat the whole purpose. Oh, I brought the bear in with us, kids. I didn't have the keys to the car with me, so I couldn't go in there. So I'm looking around and trying to figure out what do we have. And we had one thing we did have. I had a flashlight in one hand, and then we had some collapsible lawn chairs. You know, the ones that kind of fold up into sort of like a camera tripod. And so I hit upon this brilliant idea where if I came face to face with a bear, I would whack it in the nose with the folding chair. And then I would go down the road and hang the right and barricade myself in the tiny little wooden shack that had the bathrooms. And I'm feeling pretty good about this now. I got a plan. I'm kind of looking a little bit like Steve Martin in The Jerk because I'm wearing pajamas, running shoes, flashlight, and a lawn chair. I'm walking like this, trying to find this bear. But the weird thing is, you know, I started getting the adrenaline surge and courage started getting up. And, you know, I could start to see why adrenaline and courage are a really, really bad combination because they can lead you to do really stupid things. Because at this point, I'm kind of hoping I see that bear. I'm hoping I find it. As a matter of fact, I hope it tries to take a piece out of me. And I don't even care if it does. Because, you know, I'm imagining future conversations with people. Like, how did you lose your arm? Well, I was protecting my girlfriend and her children from a bear attack. Wow, you're a hero. Well, you know, anybody else would have done the same thing, you know. So, continuing to walk around, I can't, you know, I still hear this every once in a while. I still can't see it, but I got a beat on where the sound is coming from. It seems to be coming from the vicinity of one of these other campsites. And I'm still walking. And now I'm really determined to find this bear. I'm really, really psyched on finding this bear and coming face to face with it. And then eventually, I hear it. It's actually become really loud now. And I stop. And Vicky has her head poked out of the tent. And she said, do you know where it's coming from? And I said, yeah. It's coming from this tent. There's this little pup tent. And I get up close to it. And I get right down to it, and then I hear, it's a guy snoring. I could not believe this. It's a guy snoring here. He's waking up our entire campsite. And he had me convinced it was a bear. And so we're partly humiliated by this. Vicky comes out, she grabs her phone, and she records him snoring. And the next morning, we play it for our friends who were camping next to us. And a friend says, that was a guy snoring. We thought it was a bear. And so we're not crazy. And so where did you stay in your tent? And then we went out for breakfast and got back, and we wanted to play it for this guy. But he had already taken off, so Vicky played it for his friends who were staying at the same campsite, and they said, oh yeah, that's Dave. That's why he's single. And, you know, the whole experience left me feeling really, really let down. Because, you know, I thought, I'm the guy who never takes any risks, right? I'm the person who is sensible and always dictates all his actions through rationality and common sense. And I actually mustered up the courage to do something potentially dangerous and foolhardy, and I wasted it on some drunk guy who snores too loud. But on the other hand, if I'm ever at a music festival and I do run into a bear, I'll be ready.